Welcome to another MrCross.org podcast on Microsoft Word. For this podcast, we're going to just real briefly talk about formatting text. Basically, when you have your font on your page, and I'm just using a race car example here from the previous one, you have your font, there's a lot of different things you can do with it. You can use this toolbar here, which is actually your formatting toolbar, and you can bold it, italicize it, underline it, do just about anything you want to your font. Now when you're using these keys up here, you can undo them by just clicking on them a second time. You want to make your font bigger, you're going to have your font size. Pretty simple. You can adjust that for just about any part of your text. Let's say your text, however, gets all different. So I'm going to highlight a couple things. I'm going to have some font bigger, I'm going to have some font smaller, I'm going to have some font, maybe I'll have a couple letters in there really large. And we have it all different. One thing you can do is highlight every single part, and then you can change the font. Notice how it gives you a blank. It's saying there is no one way of having it formatted. You can now go through here and say, okay, I want it all formatted to 10 size font, and you'll notice it does that. You can also highlight this, and we did some bold. You can also have it all be bold or all be underlined, and it will change that and correct that for you. So just a couple ideas on how to kind of mess with the stuff that you've probably already seen in most Word documents. If you go to Format and you go to Font, this is going to give you a few more options, however, than normal Microsoft documents, or that toolbar gives you. You have the strike through, double strike through. Let's take a look at what that'll look like here. I'm going to grab a little line of text here, and I'm going to go up here and say Format, Font, and I'm going to say strike through. Notice it'll put a line square through the text, and when we go OK, you can see it. It's not totally useful, but it might be useful if you were making a list and you wanted to know which things were on the list, but you want to scratch them off. That would be maybe one option. There's other options for it I've seen, but that's what strike through is. Double strike through, just 2 lines. Superscript. Superscript is that little character that you would always see, say if you see carbon dioxide or H2O. H2O would be a subscript, and anything that has a high letter would be a superscript. So like the 5th of July, 5th. The th would be a superscript. And for that, I'm just going to do an example. I'm just going to put the letter 5th for 5th. And I have my format, by the way. I've got it all font for strike through, so that's why it's typed in that way. So let's go to Format and Font, and let's undo the strike through. And then I'm going to make the font quite large. And I want you to notice something. When I typed 5th, it automatically raised that up to me. So some of the superscript and subscript it's going to do for you. Let's try water. H2O. Let's see what happens. It didn't do it. So let's take the 2 and I think it's a subscript. So we're going to go to Format, Font, and I highlighted that, and we'll just do a subscript. And I just want to show you what the effect is. So that's superscript and subscript, and that can be found in your Format Font box. There's embossing, outlining, shadowing, engraving, making everything in capital letters. You can change the color of your font, so we can make it all orange. We can make it underlined. So if it was the total of something, you could have it actually underline it. These are all things that are in that font section, and you can format it. You can also format your spacing. So you can say that you want more spacing in your words. You can say you want less spacing. If you were in a real pinch and you were writing a paper and it was too long, you might be able to condense your spacing a little bit. That might help. You could also expand it, although if you expand it too much, it'll start to look goofy. Watch, I'll expand it by about 3-4 points, and you can see that it's getting real wide, but it's actually taking up more space on your page. If you're in college and you're doing something like that, they'll notice, and they usually deduct points because it doesn't meet the requirements of APA or MLA style guides, so you're not going to get away with doing that. Text effects. A blinking background, Vegas lights, marching band. These text effects could be added to a page that maybe somebody was going to be actually watching. They're going to actually be looking at your document. If you were to print the document, those text effects wouldn't show up. So they're really only good for documents that are going to be viewed live or online. Other than that, you probably won't use the text effects too much. So that's kind of the basic rundown of formatting your text. There's a lot more to this, and we're going to get more in depth to it as we start talking about double spacing and indenting and doing some other things that are on this formatting bar. There's also standard styles that have been created for you. So here's a heading style, for instance, and you can just click on it and it would actually format it as a heading just automatically with all the characteristics. And you can start to make your own formatting options that you can actually just grab right from here. You could also clear all the formatting and take it right back to a basic Times New Roman 12 font sort of thing. So there's a lot of different options that we'll cover in depth more in later lessons, but this is kind of just the gist of how you do it. One last thing I did forget, however, would be though your fonts. You can scroll through here and find all of your different fonts. Your font list may be larger or smaller depending upon whether software you've installed. So in here we've got quite a good selection of fonts. You may only have a few, and it just depends on what other programs that use fonts have installed, because Microsoft will grab all of the fonts and kind of use them for any program. So you can also go online and grab lots of different fonts that you can use and install them, and you can kind of have some fun with that. Anyway, that kind of does it for this little edition. It was very short, but it's just the basic font formatting that we were covering, and I hope that helps you out.